Um, Other than that, like I said, happy Sunday, happy Memorial Day weekend. It's great to see all of your lovely faces. And if you're watching this back later, this is live streamed through my business Facebook, which is Roy's Repairs and Resale. I am Roy. I do repairs and resale. And today, like I mentioned earlier, is about revenge. So, for those of you who knew me when I was streaming back on my regular Facebook page, you will recall that I had purchased an Xbox One X from my tattoo artist and was unable to fix it. It was the same issue that I'm working with here. It was power on, full power on, no display. As you will see here, just put you guys down here for just a second. I have already disassembled the console. I've realized that a lot of the early part of the recordings is just me breaking down a console, and you guys have seen a lot of that already. If you guys ever have any questions about disassembly of a console, just reach out to me. I'm happy to point you in the right direction, anything along those lines. However, like I said, it was an Xbox One X with no power, with power but no display. So the last time we attempted this, we replaced the retimer chip. That didn't seem to work. We did an ESD bypass that I either did not do successfully or was not the problem, because that didn't work either. And I ended up deeming that board a no fix, even though it probably could be fixed, and I may not have done something right. So, today, we're going to try again. This is a whole new console that I purchased from somebody on Facebook Marketplace with the exact same issues. Power, no display. I have not checked anything on the board yet. I only did the disassembly down to the board because I wanted you guys to be able to see all the testing, everything along those lines, and hopefully this is going to be an excellent video. Hopefully we get our revenge and we get this Xbox fixed, because if I do get this fixed, this was sold to me as an entire combo with the controller, the HDMI port, the power cord, everything. So if we get this fixed today, then I can turn around and sell it as an entire combo to either anybody who watches this video, or I'll post it up on Facebook Marketplace, and either way, hopefully try to make a profit on it. That's the ultimate goal here. But in order to do that, I have to get it working. So, with that being said, we are going to go ahead and begin the rest of the disassembly. So let me bring you guys in here. Alright, so my immediate concern for this is the HDMI chip, which is this right here. That is my immediate concern. Can you guys even see the HDMI chip? Am I not pointing to the HDMI chip? Oh, I must be down here. Is that where I am? Just trying to adjust. Yes, I am. Okay. All right. So let's go ahead and come down. All right. And here we go. All right. So don't worry. I'm going to fix all of this in just a moment. All right. Here we go. So that is my concern. It's this bad boy right here. Let's go ahead and get rid of this glare. There we go. That's so much better to look at, isn't it? Alright. This is my concern. These go bad on these pretty frequently, and I am pretty sure that's what we're going to be working on here today. But, before we jump into all of that, we are going to check a few other things. So the first thing we're going to check is the HDMI port itself. And I'm going to back you guys up just a little bit so I have some movement. So, we're going to come down here. Now, just by visual inspection, those look pretty good. However, as we learned with the PS5, visual inspection only goes so far. So, I'm going to find my straight tweezers wherever I put them. Here we are. Alright, and we're just going to come in with the nudge test here and test these pins. Yep. Okay. I do have to be gentle with these legs because if it's not broken and I push too hard, I would have to try and replace it with a already used one. And I don't want to do that. Okay. But those legs do appear to be fine. All right. So let's work our way down from there. We will come down to the filters. Right. So we're going to go into continuity mode. And we're going to check for signal between the filters and the HDMI port that they run to. There we go. Boop. All right. So we are in continuity mode. All right, so starting from filters here. Yep, that's good. Yep. Middle one is ground, you don't have to worry about that. Okay. That's good. Yep. 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 And yep. Okay. Alright, so those are all showing correct. And let's just make sure we don't have any crosstalk, which means I should have continuity from one side to the other side, but not here. And same thing, but not here. Okay, not here, and not here, but here. Good, good. No crosstalk here. Good. Good. And good. Okay. Alright, so the filters are all good, which means we continue our way down. Actually, I'm going to check a couple of these. Let me move up just a tiny bit here and kind of move over here. Make sure we're getting good signals from the area we're supposed to over here. So for instance, we know that from my ESD bypass that this cap goes to 19. I have to be touching it in order for it to work. Am I just not getting in there enough? Hang on. I really hope I don't have to do another ESD bypass. Okay. Alright, well, what about this? Oh, that's ground. Interesting. Alright, so there should be continuity here, and there is. I'm reading 0.1 ohms. It's 0.2 ohms, which I believe is correct. Alright. So that being the case, I'm going to start checking around and checking for shorts around the HDMI system. So I'm going to put my black probe on ground. So I'm just going to stick in a little screw hole over here. Actually, just put that right there. There we go. Alright, we're just going to start checking for shorts here. So when you're looking for shorts on capacitors, excuse me, the side of the capacitor that is closest to the chip that is attached to, which you can check by the traces here. So this side here is going to be the communication side, and this should be ground. So if I put my probe over here, we have a beep. We have a beep. We have a beep. That's all ground. I should have no beep on this side. So no beep. No beep. And no beep. Alright, same with this side here. This is ground. And the other side, no beep. Okay. Let's go ahead and move down a tiny bit. Check these caps over here. So again, ground, ground, no beep. Oh, thought I had a beep there, but no beep. Okay, so ground, 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 no ground, no ground, no ground, no ground. Okay. We're gonna try and focus in a little bit more. Alright, so the ultimate goal here, I've got my airspeed to about 70% at 480 degrees. I'm going to let the hot air gun heat up. It's almost at maximum temperature, and we are going to be pointing the heat. First, I'm going to kind of get the board a little warm underneath it, so I'm going to just kind of circle around a little bit. Kind of warm the board up some. Again, just kind of circling around, and I'm pointing the heat away from the RAM. Right. We're going to come in. You know what? I should be doing this the other way, because last time I lost components, and I don't want to lose components again. So again, away from the RAM. I'm going to come in here, now the board's a little bit warmed up. What I'm going to be doing is just applying a gentle upward pressure. Once this solder gets hot enough to melt, this chip should easily just lift right off the board. However, this chip in particular has a ground pad that eats a lot of heat, so it can take a few minutes, or maybe a minute or two, for it to get hot enough to come off the board. I am not using flux right away. Just going to let the heat gun do its work. Let it sit another minute or two. Not really a minute or two. Just my units of measurement for time. Come back in. Gentle upward pressure. There we go. Just like that. Alright, immediately take the heat off the board. Alright. We'll remove the chip here. Right. There we go. So you'll see this ground pad right here is what I was talking about. That thing eats heat like you would not believe. Alright, so what we're going to do is we're going to let the board cool down for a minute. Let that board get a little cool. Because again, it is right by the RAM chip, and I do not want to overheat the RAM chip. That is a huge problem that I don't want to deal with. Alright, and what we're going to do in the meantime is we're going to take our replacement chip that we're going to use. I think this is probably going to be the one that we'll use. I'm going to move it over here slightly. And we're going to come over here. Alright, so what we're going to do is tin the chip. And what I mean by tinning the chip is just putting a tiny bit of solder around the edges and a small dot in the middle. And that'll just help it adhere to the board a whole lot easier. So I'm just going to put a tiny bit of flux to help the solder stick to the chip. There we go, just a tiny bit of flux. And we'll go ahead and rub that in just a moment. Use a Q-tip to rub it in. Just hold that chip in place. And just spread the flux around. Okay, there we go. And that is going to help keep the solder in place when we put the chip back on. Alright, so what we're going to do here give me some work room. Alright, so we're going to hold the chip in place and put a tiny little bit of solder, and we're going to come in on the chip. Apparently it needs more flux. Alright, you know what, we'll just kind of put a fair amount of flux on there and we'll just let it ride. How about that? Yeah. We'll just do that. Come on. Release the chip. No! The chip is flipped. Come back, chip. Don't do this to me. Alright, there we go. Alright, well, we got some extra flux on the board. That's not a huge deal. Alright, there we go. Let's spread some fresh solder on those pads on the chip. Flip it 9 degrees, hold it in place, and do the same thing. Alright, and again. Flip it 90 degrees, come in, do the same thing, just putting a little bit of solder on each pad. There we go. And again, 90 degrees, a little bit of solder on each pin. And that's just going to help it stick. And then just the tiniest little bloop. Bloop. Right in the middle there. There we go. That's fine. That should help it adhere. Alright. Now, I know what you're probably thinking. So now's the time to put flux on, right? No. Not the time to put flux on. What I have learned through some of my further experiences is that too much flux on that area can cause the chip to not sit properly and things along those lines. So you can actually do this without the use of a whole bunch of flux. You'll also notice that I did not remove the original solder that was on that point. I'm going to use that to bond with the solder I just put on the chip. So we're going to go ahead and lift this chip up. Now the chip has some flux on it already, which is fine. We're just going to kind of gently move it in place if it wants to cooperate. There we go, something like that. Alright, and now we have to find the circle and align it. Alright, so now what we're going to do is try to get it as much in line as possible. It's not going to be perfect the first time, and I'm okay with that. But I do want to try and push it in line at least a bit. Down a bit. It's fine. Like I said, this is not going to be perfect by the time I flow it down, and that's okay. Really, what we're just trying to get it to do is bond to the general area of the chip, and then hopefully surface tension will align it into place on its own. And then from there, once it's aligned, we can take it off the heat, push down slightly to get rid of any solder bubbles underneath and make sure it's flat with the board, and go from there. So that's going to be about as good as I'm going to get it right there. Let's go ahead and just do a quick inspection and see how well lined up that is. And let's push a little further down and get a little further underneath. And that's not terrible. Yeah, see, it's slightly off, and that's okay. So we'll go ahead and try and gently nudge it, just gently. Yeah, something like that. Okay. Alright, so now we come back to the top. Yeah, like I said, this is not going to be perfect the first time. I do want to see that's sitting a little too high right there. Okay, something like that is fine. That'll do for now. All right. So here we go. You'll see the circle is lined up with the circle right here. All right, so I'm going to turn my airflow down slightly because the chip is still not soldered very well, or not at all actually. And we are going to begin the process of hopefully getting this right. All right. So here we go. All right. Bring this just a tiny bit closer. That's still getting up to heat. Slowly going to increase the airflow. Now again, this is still unleaded solder underneath, so it is going to take a minute. Alright, so I'm going to pull my heat away real quick, and I'm just going to give the chip a slight nudge to see if it bonded. And it looks like it has. Okay, so then what we're going to do is we're going to push down on the chip. And again, this is just pressing it flat. Alright, take the heat off. And it looks like we do have a little bit of solder blob that over on the other side there, which is fine, because we're going to come through and touch those edges up. We are going to let the, well actually, let's go ahead and get some of the flux on there while it's still warm. And for the hell of it, let's go ahead and touch these up. There we go. Well, that has already gone a million times better than last time because I did not lose any components. Alright, so let's check first of all where I don't have to move the board. We can come down here. And that looks pretty well lined up. Let's go ahead and back up in this direction. It's kind of hard to tell right there. Let's get a little back up more. Yep, those all look pretty well lined up. And maybe we can do this by just turning the board. Let's see here. Bring this in over here. Yep, that looks pretty well lined up. Yeah, that all looks good. And then come over here. And yeah, I mean that all looks pretty well lined up. All right. I'm confident enough in that to start the cleaning process. So let's go ahead and get this all cleaned up. And we'll give it a test and see how that works out. That actually went a lot smoother than last time. So I'm hoping that is the harbinger of good things. Get rid of some of this flux. There we go. A little more IPA. Give it good scrubbing over the chip, around the HDMI area. see if we can see that the indent or the engraving on the chip. Not as well, but that's fine. You can see enough of it. Yeah. So there we go. All right, chip looks good. Let's go ahead and start reassembly and see if that fixed it. Let's have everybody get fingers crossed, whether you're watching now or later on, that fixes it. Because I would love an easy fix after the time I had last time. See everything going on. Oh boy. All right. So, first things first. All right. So, it is now back together enough to test. All right. So, we're going to plug into HDMI. Let's forget it's upside down. All right, HDMI is in. Power supply is plugged in. All right. All right. We've got white light, we've got fan spin. That's already positive news. Oh. Let's just make sure it stays on for a minute here before I swap over. Oh. Fingers crossed, you guys. Really hoping for this one. I want it. I deserve it. I want it. All right, here we go. Swap over. Hell yeah. That's what I'm talking about, baby. Let's go. That's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about. Hell yeah. Look at that. Look at that beautiful display. Alright, now somebody's profile is on here, so I'm going to turn you guys away for a moment. But that is absolutely booted to a dashboard. How about that? How about it? However, that is a fixed console. So, we're going to go ahead and power it down. So I'm going to let that fully power down. That is a win for me. I'm so excited about that. That's incredible. All right, that is awesome. I'm so happy about that. Hey, Nicholas, good to see you, my man. Dude, I appreciate it. I don't know if you caught the last one. It was one of my earlier ones. I wasn't even streaming on the business page yet, but the last Xbox One X I got beat me into the ground, man. It was a bad time. So to get revenge on this one feels really, really good. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and disassemble real quick. And because I am starting to sell these now, I am going to go through a thorough process on the actual refurbishing that I do. This way, if anybody has any questions on what I've done to a console or something like that, they can always come back here. So I am going to go through the full refurbishing process. I appreciate it, Nicholas. This one feels good, man. This one feels real good. And I know that those chips that I bought from China are good. So that means I can buy more of them now. I had my concerns about the last one, so I am definitely glad that that all worked out. So I'm going to disconnect power and HDMI. And we're going to take things apart again. Alright, power cord. Here we go. That is what we are going to be removing from both the heatsink as well as the APU right here. Now, right now, oh no, yeah, the thermal paste did its job. APU is actually quite cool now. Fantastic. Alright, so what concerned me earlier is this right here, this little dry spot. So I had slight concerns that maybe that was causing an issue with the display, but obviously it did not, because that thing displayed perfectly once we put a new chip on there. So we are going to go ahead and start the cleanup process. So all you need is just a regular Q-tip. You don't have to put alcohol on it at first. I do recommend putting some on there afterwards, but just apply some light pressure all the way around the APU first. Now, I'm a stickler for cleanliness, so I really try hard not to move the thermal paste all over the board, because it's a pain in the butt to get off. And once you put alcohol on it, it gets all smudgy, and then you got to clean a whole bunch of other stuff, and it's not a fun time. So here we go. Again, we're going to put some gentle pressure on there. Now you'll notice that there is thermal paste still on those capacitors over there. Don't worry. Technically, you can leave it there. I don't like to, but you can leave it there. It doesn't hurt anything. It can mix with the new thermal paste and all of that. You know, really, there's no problem with it at all. But if I'm putting thermal paste on, I want everything to be brand new, because that's the way I do my business. If I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it fully, and I am going to do it right. Just come in with a new one. Yeah, see how it gets all flaky and stuff? That's fine. We're gonna come in a little bit here, and we're gonna take care of that. All right, there we go. All right, and then same thing here. We're just gonna come in, gentle pressure, not a whole lot. Doesn't take much unless it's super caked on, in which case that's gonna be a problem that you'll have to get some IPA for. And we're just going to come in, gently scrape off, not scrape, but smudge, just a little smudging of the thermal paste. There we go. You see that beautiful Xbox die under there? So this is called a die. It is the APU, but this whole perimeter chip is the APU. This is the die of the APU. All right. There we go. So it's a little bit dirty still, which is fine, because we're going to come in with IPA anyway. Need some hydration. Kind of give you guys a bit of a better view of what I'm doing here, even though you can already see on the microscope, but still. Damn, that feels good. That is a victory for the day. All right. So we're going to come in, a little spritzing of some IPA. And again, I will reiterate, you do not have to remove the thermal paste from the caps over here. It is not required. I am just OCD when it comes to those things, and I'm going to remove it. So, but this way, when I sell the console, I know that I put every bit of work into it that I need in order to make sure that this thing is going to last a long time, because they deserve to. These are beautifully built machines, and I hate when little things like a chip or a broken HDMI leg will have these thrown into the scrap and just adding more on top of the scrap pile. You know what I mean? Like, these things have longevity, and if you have the know-how to do it and the ability to do it, it should be done. I mean, that's just my opinion on it. I try not to judge anybody who just throws things away and things like that, but we very much live in a throwaway society, and I just can't. Not when I know there's an ability to keep it alive and give it a new home. So, as long as I have that ability, I will continue to do these. This is exciting, though. This is very exciting. Alright, so we'll come in with a new clean swab and really get up the remaining stuff on that die there. Oh, baby. There we go. Alright, so now that's all beautiful and shiny. Alright, here we go. And I haven't dropped frames once during this entire thing. I'm telling you, today was a good day. Today was a fantastic day. Alright, so then what we're going to do is take a set of tweezers. And we're going to come in between these caps and very, very carefully, gently push to try and remove some of this stuck thermal paste. Alright, now this is being, there we go. I'm about to say, this is being extraordinarily objectionable to this whole process, but you have to be super, super careful. So I'm going to come in a little bit lower so you can see what I'm talking about. There we go. Alright, so those caps, these capacitors all around the APU, the die right here, are of vital importance. You have to be so careful when cleaning up the thermal paste around here if this is something you're going to do on your own. Because if you break one of those caps, it's game over. There's no fixing that. You can attempt to reflow the capacitor and things like that, but when you're putting that much amount of heat on the APU, you're going to fry it. I have yet to see it done successfully. I know it's theoretically possible, but I have not seen it successfully done. I mean, if you guys have seen like a YouTube video or something where you've seen somebody successfully reflow one of these caps and get it to work again, I'd love for you to link it in the comments, because I want to marvel at the wizardry that was needed to accomplish that feat. Here we go. We're just cleaning up the excess thermal paste off these caps. And we are going to come back in here with some more IPA now that I've kind of cracked it loose a little bit. We're going to really give it a good scrub. Again, this is definitely not required if you were doing this for yourself. You can keep this old thermal paste on around the caps. It's not going to affect anything. I am just a stickler. There we go. Keep going around. Gentle, gentle scrubbing. Very gentle. And really, it doesn't take a whole lot to get this stuff off. There we go. Let's come up here. There we go. Just real gentle scrubs. Gentle, gentle. Alright, just about coming to the end here. Right, there we go. Alright, perfect. Alright, so now that we've got that done, we're going to come in with another spritzing of IPA. Put this up a little bit. There we go. Again, give it a liberal dousing. Come in, scrub these up. Now, yes, this does flick it onto the board, but I'm doing it in such a manner that it's all going to be in mostly one spot, so that it's easier for me to clean up afterwards. All right. And from there, I can sweep up the stuff that's on the board. And it's not going to hurt anything if it is on the board. It just kind of looks dirty, and I don't like it to look dirty. I like to do my job well. Alright, there we go. Should be pretty well done. Alright, and we'll we'll come over it one more time with a little more IPA and a cotton swab. Just do the area around it as well. Go. Like I said, not going to be perfect, but for me, I would much prefer to have as little of the old stuff on there as possible, because I want it to be brand spanking new for its new home. There we go. I'm just going around the outside of the chip area right now. Like I said, it won't hurt anything if it is on the board. I just don't like leaving dirt and smudge and things along the board. Makes me unhappy. I don't like the unprofessionalism of it, so I just don't do it. If I sell you something that I personally put my hands on, it's going to be clean and working beautifully. Alright, we are just about done here. Just giving it some final touches. And before I start reassembling again, and before I, obviously I have to put more thermal paste on, but I am going to show one more shot of the area around the HDMI redriver that we replaced, just to show you the cleanliness and the positioning of everything that worked out so well. Let's get this last little bit out of here. Alright, so let's come back over here and look at that. Look at that. No spilled over flux, no leftover remnants, like just clean. Beautiful, clean job. That's the workmanship I put into these things, and that's why I take it so seriously. I mean, yes, it's also to make a profit. I am a business. Yes, I'm going to make money on these, but this whole thing started out as just a hobby. Just something for me to do to keep my hands busy, and turned out I had a fair talent for it. So I put a lot of love into the things that I do, and I pass that love on to you guys whenever you get these consoles and rehome them for me. Alright, so there we go. Alright, I am gonna just kind of lightly, a little bit of something on there. I'm not sure if it's just leftover alcohol or what, but I am going to give it a quick smudge. There we go. A little bit of a quick smudge. Alright, so we're going to let that dry for a second. This is going to be the last step before reassembly. We're going to reassemble everything. We're going to do a full test on it. Again, I won't be able to show you the screen for the testing because there is somebody's account, but when there's no account information on screen, I will go ahead and put it up. Alright, and are we dry? We are dry. Fantastic. Alright, let's get that little schmutz off of there. Alright, so I use, there we go, MX4 thermal compound, Arctic brand. That is my thermal paste of choice. MX4, in my opinion, is the best stuff you can get right now. I know MX5 came out, but I am still sticking with MX4 until that is further tested. Now, so apply thermal paste on this. You don't need a lot. It's literally about that. That's it. That's all you need. That tube that I showed you, is a 20-gram tube, and I use not even a 100th of it on each one that I do. So thermal paste goes a long way. All right, that being done, let's go ahead and begin the reassembly process. We got to get that off. So again, same idea, just a cotton swab. This one you can be a little bit more forceful with. It tends to be a little cakier on the heat sink. And also be careful about this viscous thermal paste over here. That's for the RAM chips. That is not for the APU. And you don't want to lose that. Number one, because I don't have any. And number two, because it's difficult to find. And it's important to keep your RAM from overheating. Because RAM chips are not fun to reball. Alright, so just kind of scraping off the old thermal paste onto my desk over here. I will clean that up later. There we go. So it's just about done. Now instead of spraying the IPA directly onto this little area right here, because of this thermal paste, I'm just going to put a little squirt on the side. And we're going to come in. And we're just going to give it a little smudging. Little bits of smudging. There we go. And we'll pick up all the loose little bits on the Q-tip, cotton swab. There we go. All right. Now you don't have to put thermal paste on here because it's going to adhere from the board itself. So you don't have to worry about that. All right. And so again, we're going to be very careful. And really the board didn't even need any cleaning. Like I said, this thing's in immaculate shape. It is in really, really good shape. It's backwards. Always make sure your orientation. Alright. Here we go. Alright. Nice and firmly on there. Damp goes back on. Go. Much easier than last time. I'm going to clean up this little bit of schmutz that's still here. I don't think it's affecting it. I know it's not affecting anything because it was working, but it's just bothersome to look at, and I don't like it. So, I'm going to get rid of it. It's just a little bit of, you can't really see it right there, but a little bit of brown schmutz right there. Doesn't really hurt anything. It's not stopping it from working, but it's unsightly, and I don't want it there. So we're going to take it off. At least attempt to take it off. Nope, you know what? Doesn't want to come off. Alright, fair enough. Doesn't want to come off, it's going to stay there. Not a huge deal. Alright, here we go. Reassembly. Let's bring you guys back up over here. Slide you over. Alright, reassembly. So, gently put the board back in its case. Go. Make sure everything's securely in place. Alright, now this time we do have to connect the power supply properly, so hopefully it wants to cooperate with me. Alright, just going to move everything over here for the time being. Alright, so it's like this. There we go. Alright. Cooperation is complete. Alright. After that goes the fan. Move the wire out of the way so the fan can sit the way it needs to. We will connect the fan. And I'm doing this a bit out of order, but it's required. Right, HDMI, or not HDMI, hard drive, data, and power. Disk drive, power, data. There we go. Alright. And I'm going to run, there's a little clip on the fan where the power supply wires go into, and it'll drape itself right over here. Alright. Gently, ever so gently. There we go. Put some pressure on the power supply and make sure it makes a full connection. And there's also a groove in the fan where the wires will sit. It doesn't have to be exact. It's totally fine. It's going to sit down proper anyway. Alright, and then disk drive gets hooked right back up here. And everything has its own little neat hidey hole, which I appreciate. Alright. Now, let's see. Can I put this on? And still connect everything else. There we go. Easy does it. Okay, go. There we go. So now that that's in place, all right, there we go. And just make sure I'm not missing anything. I am not. All right, now begins the reinstallation process, which I will put you guys through because you suffered along with me so very well throughout the rest of this, and I appreciate that. All right, is this my 8? This is a 9, which will work, but 10 is the proper one. I also got myself a ratchet screwdriver because I got tired of my hand cramping up while I was in the process of getting all of this fixed. And ratchet screwdrivers are awesome. Alright, so onto the bit. Just go ahead and find a screw hole. Oh yeah, oh, ratchet screwdriver. Oh, it's the best. There we go. Alright, and little baby screw that goes right here. Go. Oh, ratchet screwdriver. Oh, you're so much easier to work with. Okay. All right. Let's back up a little bit here. All right. And we're going to come in. And begin the reassembly process. So the first thing I'm going to do is move this ribbon cable out of the way so we do not tear it. Just have to do some readjustment until everything is sitting snug. Okay, there we go. Snug all the way around. Almost. That's fine. So I'll have to get some pressure put on there, but that's good. Alright, so now I'm going to reattach the boards. The boards also take 8s, which is fine. I'm going to use the 9 anyway, just to be on the safe side. If I can find the 9. That's 8. Where did I put the 9? Is this the 9? That is the 9. Alright. Wi-Fi board first. Wi-Fi board goes here. There we go. Alright, so Wi-Fi board. Had 2 long silver screws and 1 small black screw. It's fine. Go. And small black screw. Downside to ratchet screwdriver is ratchet screwdriver has a wobble head, which is good in most cases, except when I need things to go straight. There we go. All right. There we go. All right, tightened in. Turn the board around, or turn the whole thing around, I should say. So the first thing we'll do is reconnect this little piece, and again, be very careful with this. There is an electronic connector on there that you do not want to break. And let's take these small little baby screws. Are those the right baby screws? Looks like the right baby screws. Yep, seems to be good to me. I have a lot of extra Xbox parts just lying around, so I just kind of grab and pick from what I need as I need it. Alright, there we go. Yeah, it's not exactly the same, but it's the same. It's fine. It's fine. Alright, and then we get power board. Power board has all green screws. Okay. Green screws. You know, I really should have put the frame screws in first, now that I'm thinking about it, because if any of those frame screws are out of place, I'm going to have to take this whole thing apart again. Oh, I should have thought of that. You know what? I'm already in it. In for a penny, in for a pound. Here we go. We're going balls to the wall, baby. Confidence. Alright. And final screw for the power board. Alright, and we have to reconnect this ribbon cable right here. Now I think this is already down. Nope, now it is. Okay. Right, I'm just kind of trying to stuff that ribbon cable in as much as I can. It's used to being in this position, so I mean it's not a huge deal. There we go. That's about as good as it's going to get right there. But again, it's used to being bent up and such, that's why it's a ribbon cable. Alright. Alright. Putting in this last screw here, and we will give it the full test. Alright, let's move some of this out of the way here. Maybe I'll spend some time Memorial Day cleaning up my workstation. Who knows? Probably not. But maybe. Alright, here we go. And we have it. My lady's on a caffeine run as we speak. She's the absolute best. Alright. Grab my cord of connection. Alright. There we go. Swap over. Alright, and as you can see, just gonna get some settings pulled up here. So as you can see, we are back to the dashboard here. Okay, so I did put the disc in correctly, it looks like. So, let me grab a different game. Let's try Dishonored 2. Yep, and that one came up perfectly. And it is installing. Let's just make sure I get some actual movement on the installation. Make sure it reads properly. Yep, there we go. Perfect. Alright, so the disk drive is perfect. Right, and it's already connected to the internet, and let's see if I can just test the controller. All the buttons on the controller are registering fine. Yep, everything's registering perfectly. Alright. Perfect. This is good to go. So I am going to go ahead and... You know what? Let me go ahead and update real quick. I'll get it updated off screen. But as you can see, this is fully functional. This is a win. A most needed win. So, like I said, I'm going to get it fully updated off screen. And once it's fully updated, I'm going to go ahead and factory reset it. And it's going to be ready for resale. So, to anybody watching this now or in the future, this will be posted on my regular Facebook page and my marketplace. Still working out how to get a shop set up on the business page, but this will be for sale. The entire thing, the controller, HDMI cord, power cable, console. I'll even throw in a game with it, no cost. Just as a thank you for visiting my page and being here to hang out. You know, that's the word of mouth and you guys interacting with me. It means everything to me. That's what keeps me going on this, and you know, being able to show these repairs and things like that. You guys are a huge part of that, and I really can't overstate it. So I'm gonna get this working. I love you all very much. Let me give you guys a visual here. Anyway, I love you all very much. Thank you for hanging out with me. Happy Memorial Day. Thank all of the military veterans, past, present, and future, for your service. Both of my parents were in the military. It means the world to me, the sacrifice that you guys make. So happy Memorial Day. You guys remember what this Memorial Day is all about. Enjoy the weekend. Be safe. Don't let me read about you in the paper. And I will talk to you soon. I love y'all. Bye.